For people die during a ceasefire. That shouldn't be possible. But it's happening right now. And here's the question no one is asking. If this is peace, then what does war actually look like? In Gaza, the silence doesn't mean safety. It means something is about to happen. Drones don't just fly, they wait. They circle. They watch. And then, without warning, they strike. Earlier today, the sky was filled with that familiar hum. Not one drone. Multiple. Moving in patterns people here have learned to fear. Because when they hover, it's not surveillance. It's a countdown. But here's the strange part. This isn't new. It's been happening again and again since the ceasefire began. Over 750 people killed after the fighting supposedly stopped. So what exactly is this phase? Funerals are becoming routine. Families gathering, not to celebrate survival, but to bury it. And every funeral raises the same unanswered question. If the ceasefire is holding, then why are people still dying? And this is where it gets weird. One of the latest strikes didn't hit a battlefield. It hit a group of men outside a school. Not soldiers, not a front line, just a location that should have been safe. But it wasn't. And that's when things start to feel different. Because when safe places become targets, the rules change. So now the real question isn't who's next. It's where is safe anymore? But that's not even the craziest part. Because the most chilling story didn't happen on a battlefield. It happened inside a coffee shop. A place people go to escape the chaos. To recharge. Literally. In Gaza, electricity is rare. Power isn't constant. So people gather in the few places that still have generators. Cafes, small shops, anywhere with a working outlet. Journalists, students, freelancers, workers, all in one room, chasing a few hours of connection to the outside world. And that's when things changed. A drone fired. No warning. No escalation. Just impact. A freelance journalist was killed instantly. Right there, between laptops and coffee cups. But here's the strange part. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't running. He was working. Authorities later claimed he had ties to past attacks. But his family says something completely different. They say he was doing what everyone else there was doing. Charging his devices, finishing his work, trying to survive. So which version is true? And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because 5 others were critically injured. Not fighters. Not targets. Just people in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe there is no right place anymore. And that raises a bigger question. If even a coffee shop isn't safe, then what is? And more importantly, who decides? And just when you think it can't escalate further, it does. Helicopters sweep the sky. Heavy machine gun fire echoes across neighborhoods. Northern Gaza, Eastern Khan Yunis. No clear pattern. No clear warning. People run, but they don't know where to run to. Because here's the reality. Movement doesn't guarantee survival. One man arrives at the hospital, barely alive. Seconds later, he's gone. And this is where it gets weird. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a pattern. A rhythm people are starting to recognize. Drone. Silence. Strike. Helicopter. Sweep. Fire. Repeat. But what happens when fear becomes predictable? It stops being shock and starts becoming normal. And that's the most dangerous shift of all. Because when people begin to expect the unexpected, they stop asking why. But we should be asking why. Because at the same time these attacks are happening, something else is unfolding far away from the explosions. Negotiators are meeting. Quiet rooms. Calm voices. Talking about phase 2 of a deal. Egypt. Qatar. Turkey. Big conversations. Big promises. But here's the contradiction. How do you negotiate peace while violence continues in the background? And this is the question no one can answer yet. Is this part of the process, or proof that the process isn't working? But the real story might not be the explosions. It might be what's missing. Food, medicine, fuel. Everything is running out. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Some aid is allowed in, but only in small amounts. Just enough to exist, not enough to live. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Supplies are limited. And what does come through often comes at a cost. A hidden cost. Payments at crossings. Extra fees. Delays. Some call it logistics. Others call it something else entirely. But here's the strange part. Even basic items, electronics, car parts, fuel, are barely entering. That might not sound urgent until you realize what it means. No electronics means students can't study. Workers can't work. No car parts means vehicles break and stay broken. No fuel means generators stop And when generators stop, everything goes dark. And that's when things change again. Because in a place where power is already fragile, losing it completely doesn't just affect comfort. It affects survival. So now the question shifts. It's no longer just about safety. It's about sustainability. How long can daily life continue when the systems holding it together are slowly disappearing? And this is where everything flips. Because maybe the biggest story isn't what's happening. It's what's not moving forward. For months now, people have been told this is temporary, that this is a phase, that things will stabilize. But every new strike, every new shortage tells a different story. A story of limbo. Not war. Not peace. Something in between. And here's the unsettling part. People are starting to adapt to it. They plan their days around drone patterns. They charge devices when power appears. They move carefully, speak carefully, live carefully, because uncertainty isn't occasional anymore. It's constant. And that changes how people think, how they hope, how they survive. But here's the final twist. What if this isn't a pause between conflicts? What if this is the new normal? A state where ceasefires exist on paper, but not in reality. Where negotiations continue, but conditions don't improve. Where survival depends not on safety, but on timing. And that leaves us with one final question. If a ceasefire can look like this, then what does the future actually hold?